Good morning, my friends. I'm clicking on a little bit early to get myself organized and settled. So it is an absolutely gorgeous Friday here in Peoria, Illinois. It's supposed to be 72 degrees, and we noticed when we were out earlier this morning at a doctor's appointment for John that the humidity was down because here in the Midwest, humidity is out there all the time. So we're happy to have the anticipation of 3 really nice days to kick off this weekend. So I hope it's been a good week for everyone. There is so much going on with the opening up of different parts of the country. Illinois has been pretty restrictive, partly because Chicago is one of the hot spots, and when you live in Illinois, you're a part of Chicago. Well, we're not really a part of Chicago. Things are just beginning to ease up. Today is the first day that we are able to have salons open and gyms. And the gym that I go to is opening today. I'm probably going to, since I can walk outside, I'm probably going to postpone attending there for just a little while, maybe a few days, to let them get their sea legs. So what I am hoping to talk about today for our time together was kind of sparked. We had another plan for today to kind of launch our new website for United Stroke Alliance, but there's been a little bit of a delay with that process. As everyone knows that's worked with electronics, there are bumps in the road. So we're going to postpone that announcement for a little while. So I was digging through my drawers trying to find out, file drawers, trying to find out what topics might be of interest. And actually I've been cleaning out file cabinets this last week. For whatever reason, I was motivated to do that. But what I found was an article that I wrote 12 years ago. It was for a national newsletter. And it was each month they ask a caregiver to write the Caregiver's Corner. So I wrote the Caregiver's Corner. Now I know a lot of times we have survivors that are watching, and by no means do I mean to ignore your vantage point, but I wrote this my 8th year into caregiving for John. And what sparked me writing the article in the way that I did was that particular year, my brother's wife had a massive stroke. And my brother and my mother, who at that time was, gosh, what would she have been? Close to 90, 80, late 80s, 90-ish, were trying to navigate her critical care. Her stroke was way worse than John's. So I learned more about a different kind of caregiving than I had with John, because she was in a coma for some time. But I remember my brother, reaching out to me almost daily at that time. And the fact that I had done the caregiving and worked with all the folks at camp over the years, I had a wealth of non-medical knowledge, but life's experiences. So although every stroke is different, every caregiving journey is different, and we all have our own personalities and we handle it our own way, I did a top 10 list. So I'm going to go over my top 10 list, and then I did find a couple of other things that I found were interesting with regards to caregiving. So these things helped me navigate the post-stroke journey with John. So it may be drastically different. If we talk to 100 people, they'd have 100 different things to say. But this is kind of what I noticed and what helped us navigate. The number one that I wrote down was make routine your friend. Give your survivor adequate information about any changes as soon as possible. And I think because I move quickly and I make decisions quickly and I have a lively personality, John not so much, getting into a routine was more difficult for me, but I recognized when we were in a routine and he knew what to expect, when to expect it, it worked out so much better than just kind of dropping and rolling. So make routine your friend. Don't try, this one is key. Don't try and reason with a survivor when they're having a meltdown. And I think probably almost universally, sometime within those first weeks to months following a stroke, hi Lizzie, following a stroke, there is emotion. It's called involuntary emotion expression disorder. I was so thankful to find that out. And it has to do with the misfiring going on in the brain. And those first couple of years, John either cried or screamed and yelled. He was either angry, screaming and yelling ignorant things, or he was sobbing and crying uncontrollably. So when that's going on, don't try and talk them through it. Don't try and reason with them. They're simply not able to make a rational decision at the moment. And if there's anger there, what saved me was to say, I know this is the stroke. I'm blessed by the fact that I know he loves me dearly and he cherishes me. So in those moments when some of those nasty, hateful things were coming out, I was okay with identifying that as the stroke, not him personally reaching out for me. So, and one of the things that reminded me that confrontation during a meltdown isn't going to work is I'd had some advice from someone who had not been a stroke caregiver that knew John would have these moments of just lashing out, and said, you need to just pin his ears back. You need to just, when he does that, you need to just tell him that you're not going to tolerate that. And I thought, yeah, I was probably being too nice. So the next time it happened, I'll never forget, we were in the spare bedroom, standing by the file cabinet, I'll never forget it, and he barked at me pretty significantly about something. And I remember doing it gently, but I said, John, I am not going to tolerate you talking to me that way. I deserve respect, or whatever it was I said. And it threw him, because I don't think he even knew what I was saying. He just read my emotions, and it just sent him into a sobbing snot bubble sort of a moment. So I realized that at that moment, that when the brain is misfiring and so much is going on, take a deep breath, handle it later. Always, and I said always, keep calm in a crisis, or something that seems as though it's a crisis for you or for your loved one, if you have to count to 10, to 100, whatever, but calm is really helpful. Don't take the exit of friends and family personally. It is their issue, not yours. And this was challenging for John in the friendship area, because there were some pretty significant friendships in his life that kind of went by the wayside. And I knew the struggle was with his inability to speak. His language was so childlike and not even full sentences and incorrect words. And I think that was painful for someone who loved him so much. And so I had to work with him about that. We were very, and have been, extremely blessed by our family being very supportive. No family has exited on us at all. So we're blessed that way. But we found out that we could get new friends, and some of the older friends, as he got better, kind of came back and re-entered our lives in a different way. So don't take that personally, like you've done something wrong. This is the biggest advice for myself, and it's slow down and repeat things with great regularity as they're necessary. All survivors aren't cognitively challenged. My husband is pretty cognitively challenged and doesn't always receive the language accurately. So I do have to repeat things, and he can't read a word here and there, but he can't really read a sentence. So if I leave him notes, they have to be very simple and written in a way that he would understand it. But letting him know what's today, what's tomorrow, one or two things at a time, not a whole list of things. So if there's aphasia, you just have to figure out. It took us years to figure out how to communicate with the aphasia. And with the aging process, things have changed again. Number 6 is encourage your survivor to get involved as soon as possible. In the early years, John did start going back to the gym and ride the bicycle, and I would take him there and pick him up. So he had an hour without me, and he really learned to communicate with others and made some good friendships there, leaning on them to help him. But it was good for him to have something new and something positive. So encourage them to do things, to be as involved as possible. Another thing with being involved is helping them be involved in decisions. Sometimes it's just as easy for us caregivers to just take the bull by the horns and make the decision. And I realize that many of those decisions I do have to make, but many of those decisions he needs to be involved in. Finding your new normal and finding out what works for you as far as socializing, getting out, staying closer to home. It doesn't have to be fabulous, but find some things that you can do. And maybe it's as simple as going to the mall and walking around a little bit pre-pandemic. I'm not sure what it'll be like now. Maybe they can help with meal planning. John doesn't cook, never did cook. He used to tell me he cooked, but he never did. But he can empty the dishwasher. So if I can wait until he feels up to emptying the dishwasher, that's a little task that he can do. And we're very blessed. He loves to mow and he can still mow. But find those things that divide and conquer and what works, and come to an understanding so that you're not, have this underlying upset all the time. This one, I think, for me, and I don't know, many of you survivors have had a better recovery cognitively than my husband, but it is, except that it's unlikely you will ever have a normal marital or family disagreement that will be resolved in the moment. And I discovered that if there's some kind of a conflict or something going on in the moment, when there is a little bit of a back and forth going on, and I think it's a brain thing. I don't know. I'm not a neurologist, but it seems as though he doesn't take in the information. And I think there's some misfiring going on. So what I have learned, if there's a family decision or something, and it could be as simple as getting the deck repaired or little household tasks, take them a little bit at a time, one thing at a time, versus, all at once. And so, we had to break those things down and discuss them. And if there's a disagreement, sometimes we have to step away. And I've kind of done the timeout thing from time to time. Not so much in recent years. I'm going back to kind of some of the earlier years. Keeping a list of transgressions and dumping them on somebody all at once just isn't going to work. So take those things a little bit at a time. My last one here of the top 10 is never give up, because there can be progress even years after stroke. And I saw this with John. He used to get so excited when he'd get a new word and he'd say, "Did you hear me spit that one out?" And the aging process has caused me to notice there's not quite as much new recovery now, but we're almost 19 years into this. But I've seen people at camp that come back year after year and their language is better, physically they're better. They've reached out, they've expanded what it is they're doing to help themselves. So that is something that I have learned. Don't ever give up on that. So those were my top 10 from 12 years ago. In addition, in my little folder, I found that another resource, and there were a couple of things here that reminded me of things that I wanted to talk about. And one of them, which was powerful for me, is it's better to find out than to miss out. And when John, and he's had lots of health issues besides the stroke, but one of the things for me that worked for me was to get the information, find it out, even if it was the worst case scenario, find out, understand, do my own research, because to me, knowledge was power. And an example of me understanding the whole rehab thing better, and I've told this story a number of times because it was so powerful. When he was in outpatient occupational therapy, maybe a few weeks out of the hospital, and we go for our outpatient occupational therapy. And because of his aphasia, I stayed with him just in case I needed to interpret, my favorite thing. And we go in the room, and the occupational therapist sets the little cones, like they put on the roads, except they're small, the little cones all around the room, and has a task, giving him an idea, and just saying, okay, go pick up the red cones. And then we repeat it, go pick up the red, and he'd pick up the red cones, and then the yellow cones, whatever it was. And he got so aggravated, and he got upset, and he looked at me and said, "I'm not a baby." Oh, he was quite upset. And so, being who I am, I looked at the occupational therapist and I said, "Can you explain to me why we're doing this task? Because I think it seems a little bit demeaning to him." And the occupational therapist said, "Well, I have a list of things that we have to check off and make sure that he can do those before he goes to the next level of therapy. So this is one of the things on the list that we have to know that he can identify this, whatever the task was." So I was able to turn to him and tell him, if you do these, then they give you, more difficult tasks, and you're progressing in therapy. He was all over it. He grabbed those cones. He was just more than happy to jump through their hoops because he wanted to get to the next level of recovery. I've told that story a number of times because, to me, knowledge is power, and understanding the why that they were asking him to do that task rather than just mundanely going through it. So anyway, that was important to me. Recovery, there's many factors that influence recovery. Where the stroke occurred, how bad the stroke was, the different part of the brain. So understand, maybe if you can, where the stroke was, what part of the brain. Aphasia was the biggest thing for us, the language center being damaged. And the more I understood that, and the more he described it, it was very, very helpful. Gains can happen quickly or over time. Sometimes you can make a quick gain, something that happens quickly and done. And other times it has to be repetitive over and over and over again. Another item in this post was stop depression before it hinders recovery. And I think it is very under examined as far as depression is concerned, but many stroke survivors have some sort of depression. Understand, you've got a brain injury. Your life is forever changed. Nothing wrong with that. But understanding post-stroke depression and staying focused on it. Once we were able to get John on appropriate medication, consistently, the mood swings and the moments of depression almost completely vanished. So, but keep on that. Try something if one thing doesn't work. Learn the ins and outs of insurance coverage. That was another thing that was very, very important, because sometimes one of the things that people, we've talked about at our camps, is that people don't realize that you may have plateaued, or you may have gotten to a certain point, or you ran out of visits. But the next year, particularly with Medicare, you might be able to get another 12 or 15 or 20 visits. So sometimes you do some things at home to keep the therapy going, and then maybe after in a new program year, you can get some more therapy. So don't forget, reach out, ask, try and figure that out. And the last thing that I'm going to go through kind of quickly that I found that I really, really liked, and it is you don't deserve judgment from anyone, even yourself. And this is just some tips on stop judging yourself as a caregiver. Oh my gosh, it is so easy in those emotional moments or in those failures to beat yourself up. When John was new to all of his diabetic medicines, and I gave him the wrong insulin, which ended up being a huge overdose of a fast-acting insulin that required an emergency room trip. Oh my gosh, you just beat yourself up. I could have killed him. I could have killed him. You've just got to be human. So notice when you're speaking negatively about yourself. Oh, I was impatient. I snapped at mom or dad, or I forgot the oatmeal, or whatever. I'm so stupid. That self-talk serves no one any good purpose. So the self-talk, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. Try and distract yourself from negative thoughts. When those thoughts come in, try and replace them with a positive thought. Please avoid comparing yourself with others. I have a lot of times when I meet people, they just, they go on and on about my energy. Well, I'm blessed with high energy, and I'm blessed with my personality that has served caregiving fairly well. Everyone isn't me. So do your caregiving the way it works for you. Do your caregiving in a manner in which it serves you and serves the one that you're taking care of. Don't compare yourself to any other caregiver. Just be yourself and do yourself. Look at the big picture. Is the house messy? Do you not, did your loved one not get dressed or showered in the quickest time possible? Oh well, in the big picture, does the fact that the shower didn't happen today and it happens tomorrow not going to impact anything? So put on some music, do something relaxing and fun, and say, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Talking with others in similar situations. I love the discussion groups at our camps, and we're hoping to do some Zoom things soon to stay connected with everyone. But talking to others in the same situation, your caregiver support groups or support groups where caregivers can meet with others, very, very important. And keep a success journal. There's nothing, if you find something that really worked or something that you said or did that really worked, make a note of it, because it's wonderful to go back and realize all the successes that you've had over the years. So that's my ramblings this morning from a caregiver's vantage point. Any of you survivors who are watching and want to make a point of something that's worked for you or something that you would love to have us know, put it in the notes. Please feel free to share this video with any of your friends, family, individuals, or invite them to join our community group so that they can watch them at any time. One other exciting thing that happened yesterday very quickly, through our Facebook page, we got a notice that someone who's writing a daily article about stroke on the Reader's Digest Wellness newsletter, which is an online newsletter, and had found us and wanted to talk to someone that had been to camp. So Carrie and Kelly saw that message before I did, and they replied to her. And so she sent me all the questions, and because we had such a timeline, I couldn't reach out to several survivors and things for the interview. She was more than happy just to interview me about our post-stroke journey. And so I sent her lots of information and videos and links and everything that she wanted. So my understanding is that today she is going to be publishing an article about Stroke Camp and United Stroke Alliance, and probably some things on John's and my journey, because a lot of the questions were specific to our journey and some were specific to the camp experience. So I spent quite a bit of time yesterday responding to her, and it was kind of fun. So she told me when the article is live, she will send me a link. So I will post that link here on the notes so that anyone who wants to see what she wrote, I'll make sure it's accurate first. It should be. So anyway, that was kind of exciting, and it happened all in one day. You just never know. And I was thankful that I was able to respond to her quickly and get a little bit of notoriety. So Chuck says, I don't see you wearing the new mic because I've got a new cordless mic. And I'm not wearing it because I couldn't figure it out, and I had my big article to write yesterday. And Susan says the volume is great. You know what I've discovered? I've got a cardboard, like one of these. And if I put it around my tablet, I think it receives my voice really well when I'm just sitting and talking. So I'll be working on getting the microphone, the cordless mic, for next time. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I forgot my, let's see. What do we have? Monday, Kelly, 5 o'clock, Kelly is going to bake banana muffins for everyone. Well, to show to everyone. On Wednesday, I'll be at the Sterling Flower Shop here in Peoria. And my friend Linda Gavin and I are going to do some flower arranging to show you, if you get some flowers or have flowers in your garden, ways that you might want to arrange those flowers, and maybe some little tips about cut flowers to keep them lasting longer. So, and I have forgotten what I'm going to do next Friday, but we'll let you know Monday and Wednesday what I'm going to do next Friday. So thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been fun, and I didn't do quite as many times. I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. So thanks everyone. Please feel free to invite, to share, and we'll see you next time.